down some facts, please. Write down. The first fact is, number one, now these are the criticisms, okay? These are the criticisms. Number one is, likho, globalization isn't uncontrolled. The flow of capital is highly asymmetrical. Globalization isn't uncontrolled. The flow of capital is highly asymmetrical. While the developing countries and the poor countries have received assistance, poor countries and developing countries have received assistance. We call this as ODA, Overseas Development Assistance, have received assistance to the tune of $50 to $80 billion. Developing countries, poor countries have received assistance or ODA to the tune of $50 to $80 billion in the last 2 years. The rich countries have informally or illegally extracted 10 times the amount. Okay, so we have got the richer countries and we have got the poorer countries. While the rich countries have given $50 to $80 billion, they have extracted $500 to $800 billion. This is inequality. This is a kind of exploitation. Okay, so you are giving 50 to 80, but you are extracting 10 times the amount. This is one fact you can use as a part of your hook or a part of the narration. Number two, globalization is a very nice thing. When we praise globalization, we are actually talking about internet, cell phones, computers, internet, cell phones, computers. But these are things that the third world countries do not have and they are not really benefited by. The developed world has patent rights and technology shields to protect themselves. They have patent rights and they have technology shields to protect themselves, while the third world countries stand exposed. Another fact, globalization was promoted on the premise of free movement in trade, but the movement was allowed for goods and capital and not labor, which developing countries have abundance in. Next one, globalization is unequal where countries like Switzerland and Japan, it has been unequal where countries like Switzerland and Japan have gained. Countries like Switzerland and Japan have gained with an increase of GDP per year, have gained with a GDP per year increase of 2,000 to 1,500 euros per year. For China, it was 80 euros per year. And for India, it was less than 20 euros per year on per capita basis. Not dollars, euro. Per capita basis. Yes, per capita, yes. What we're saying is the growth that they saw, the growth was unequal. So I picked up some data that I could access. You could always have your own type of your source, doesn't matter. So Switzerland, Japan, the gain was 2,000 to 1,500 euros per year per capita. For China, it was 80 per year per capita. And India, it was less than 20 per year per capita of GDP, yes. Per capita GDP, yes. Per year per capita of GDP, correct. So it was, so your data important, but you can use this data as a part of your hook, the data as a part of narration also. Right, next, the consequence of the inequalities was loss of faith in globalization. This loss of faith now is visible in the form of these 5 events. 5 events are Brexit, the 5 events, okay, where you're losing faith. Brexit, trade wars, Brexit, trade wars, rise of protectionism, rise of right-wing nationalism and rising conflicts. हाँ, उसके बाद देखो now see, I'm giving you the format. As your examination comes to, okay, comes closer, please add whatever you want to add to enrich this from contemporary developments. So open sky treaties भी हट रहा है, start वाला शुरू, end of start treaty भी हो रहा है. Okay, China getting aggressive. Okay, we are not collaborating in pandemics also now. Okay, so you can always add a lot of content on this. And I think somewhere the belligerence of Trump walks out of the Paris deal. Anand, ye aapka GS hai. I will not explain how this is protectionism from globalization problems. Okay, that is your GS, please. I'm only giving you, okay, a framework in which you can discuss. So RCEP abandoned by India, absolutely right. Okay, Trans-Pacific Pact, TPP of Obama was also challenged. Okay, it was also stopped. So a lot of Trump politics somewhere is around all of this. Okay, so you add whatever you can from your contemporary understanding of the issues. Okay, now yahan tak jo bataya na maine, it is more or less what you know. Now I'm moving on towards, remember now, in essays I said, do something so that the essays can witness that nudge effect. Remember the nudge effect? The discussion till here, I'm sure all of you know more or less. Some facts here, some facts on the other side. You have got some content, aapko pata hai. Now the discussion is the nudge effect. What's nudge effect? I told you. It's a way of increasing the quality of your discourse. It's a way of increasing the quality of your arguments. Remember the circles we talked about? Individual, okay. You come towards the national, you come towards the global and the philosophical aspects. So now I'm applying the nudge effect. Now you see for the next half an hour how the quality of our discussions in globalization will increase now. So we are starting the nudge effect now. Okay. So that your essays now have that extra something. The first thing we can appreciate is something, okay, that was said by one, he is a very prominent writer, Stephen Altman. Stephen, S-T-E-V-E-N or V-A-N, Altman, A-L-T-M-A-N. Stephen Altman. Now, Stephen Altman tells us that lot of expectations were myths from globalization, were myths. Okay, what were the myths? The first myth was that it is only in recent times. Write down, please. The first myth was that it is only in recent times, the globalization has slowed down. But he says the reality is globalization in terms of trade and capital in movement has increased, he says. There are certain myths. He says that some people think globalization is slowing down. He says, no, the reality is trade and capital movement has actually increased. Even people movement has increased. 2017 marked the peak of globalization. The reality is trade has increased, capital movement has increased. Okay. So globalization is not slowing, he says. But he says, yes, globalization is increasingly cornered by few countries and companies. So it's a myth hai that in recent time globalization has slowed down. Okay, he says globalization has slowed down is a myth, because he said if you look at the trade amount, if you look at the capital movement, if you look at the people who are moving, it has actually increased. 2017 was a peak year. But yes, he says the reality is globalization is being cornered by few countries and few companies. Now, very interesting he says is globalization, if you look at globalization, it is actually an extension of capitalism. Now, a question he asks you is, and I can ask you is, what do you think? Can we ever wish capitalism comes to an end? I'm just an open question to all of you. What do you think? Will capitalism come to an end? Why? It's something like, you know, when the British colonies ended, okay, everybody said colonialism is over. But you know the reality. When Russian Revolution happened, we said capitalism is over. Capitalism is a kind of anti-fragile thing. Capitalism is a very efficient process in terms of money, in terms of time, in terms of technology, बहुत efficient है. Because it is efficient, it is anti-fragile, capitalism will always keep on changing. उसका रूप change हो जाएगा. Capitalism is very creative. Capitalism is not, this is a nudge thing, right? That you are giving your discussions next level. Why should we not believe globalization is over? Because he says globalization is nothing but another form of capitalism. And capitalism by nature is very efficient. Capitalism is very creative. It is very innovative. Capitalism, okay, can change very rapidly. Okay, capitalism is driven by profits, correct? So it has the ability of morphing. It has the ability of changing very fast. ये अलग-अलग रूप में आ जाएगा. For mercantile capitalism, okay, it can become, okay, the present type of globalization. Okay, it can become the globalization driven by the digital economy. Okay, and you know this, he says this capitalism जो है ना, this is somewhere, okay, because it is profit motive, it is the very nature of man. Profit motive, acquisition of goods, like it is the very nature of man. It is inherently the human greed. That is why it will find ways how to morph, change, and exist, even if there are problems. आप कुछ भी कर लेना, countries like US or companies like Facebook or Amazon, okay, they can say whatever they want to say. At the end of the day, they want profits. They want their revenue books running. So, थोड़ा बहुत दिखाने के लिए they are doing some service to show they are doing some kind of corporate, social responsibility. So he says capitalism is a very basic instinct of man. Capitalism is driven by profits, a very basic instinct of man. That is why to assume capitalism will go away is wrong, and globalization will keep on changing its shape and form. It will remain in some way or the other. Yes, its forms can change, its nature can change, its engine can change. That's why it's very important to adapt with time. And the biggest example of how capitalism is not easily defeated is we have not agreed on climate change agenda. No matter what, despite the fact we are burning, we are getting roasted, we are choking, we have got problems of smogs, we have forests which are getting destroyed, the lungs are being destroyed, yet the nature is such that we are not willing to compromise, okay, and give up our growth, okay, agenda. So this is the first point of discussion. Did you all understand what I mean by nudge effect, all of you? How your conversation goes into a bit deeper realm now. याद आ रहा है आपको fourth circle जो है? The fourth circle where I said enter the philosophy. Like, enter the philosophy. So I've entered into the next level. Okay? The second one. It is a myth that in globalization we were moving towards a borderless world. In reality, the borders had never dissolved. The borders always existed. See, when globalization was becoming the in thing, a new word caught our attention. The idea called globalism. Have you heard about the idea called globalism? It's that feeling that all of us are brothers. And yes, some of us talk about Vasudev Kutumbakam types. So somewhere an expectation was there that with globalization what will happen is the world becomes a global village. The world becomes a borderless. Okay. The world becomes, okay, one type of society. But he says that's a myth. The borders have always existed. And in fact, borders have hardened. Borders have become more prominent. और the extreme form आज के date में है what is called as protectionism. So if you are looking and expecting, okay, yes, financial borders remain, migration borders remain, Okay, no country actually gave up their sovereignty. Remember that. The expectation that globalization will create a borderless world. This again was a myth. Yeah, now talking about data localization. Okay, the physical wall that Trump talks about, or even the psychological and cultural walls are always there. The third myth, okay, he says the idea that US is more open to global trade. Okay, the idea that the US is more open to global trade and the US is the poster boy of globalization. This again is wrong. Okay, this is a myth. Now, US always promotes itself as the most globalized country. It promotes itself as the flag bearer of globalization. But the fact is, if you look at the US imports with respect to its GDP, it is one of the least globalized countries. The imports of US are barely 15% of its GDP. Japan mein it is as much as 18% of GDP. China mein it's almost as much as 20% of its GDP. The imports, how open you are, you can measure there in terms of the imports that you are allowing inside. Okay, the US promotes itself as one of the most globalized nations. But we are saying, if you look at the US, the imports as a percentage of GDP, just about 15%. So what it's saying is, US is one of the most closed economies. It does not encourage too much of imports. So you can understand when the trade deficit of US increases, okay, then you know what happens with Trump. They talk about shutting the borders entirely. So what we're saying is that US crying about closed economy is not the biggest idea, is not the most inspiring idea. So US is among the most closed of economies. This is one of the myths. Fine, we always talk in terms of percentage. You know, it's not about the absolute number. Percentage wise is very important figure. Okay. Now another point here is that globalization, एक myth जो है, next myth लिखवा, next myth, that globalization created a new set of global trade leaders. The myth number 4 जो है, it created a new set of trade leaders in the world. And trade leaders, we say ASEAN, we say India, we say China, we say Brazil, all of them together as emerging economies. Okay, globalization created new trade leaders of the world. But Stephen Altman says that this is again a myth. In reality, right now, in reality, although the share of emerging economies in global trade has increased, but the advanced economies have 3 times more goods trade, 5 times more people movement, and 9 times more information flows. Emerging economies have not really kept pace with the more advanced economy countries. It's like, you know, yes, globalization has helped all countries grow. The emerging economies have also grown, but I'm saying the advanced countries have grown much, much more. So the bottom fact is globalization was never an equal process. Globalization was never able to keep the developing countries at par with the developed nations. It was always unequal. So अभी हम देख के surprise क्यों हो जा रहे हैं? It's just that when we started off, we had too much of expectations. We started off in 80s, we were blinded by the possibilities. So it's not that the problems have come now. The problems are deep-rooted. The problems have always been there. Capitalism is all about profits. It's all about, inequalities there. After class divide in some way or the other exists. That's the point here. The developing countries are doing, but the advanced countries are more efficient in using globalization. Now, right about the 5th myth here, the 5th myth it says is, it's very, very interesting. The 5th myth is that it says that most blame globalization for the problems of inequalities right now. But the reality is, globalization is just one form of hyper trade. Most blame globalization to be responsible for inequalities, but globalization is just one form of hyper trade. There are other reasons. There are other reasons related to politics, social structure, corruption, and culture of innovation that is responsible for inequalities. Okay. So what we are saying, जो inequalities हैं, the inequalities, these are a reality. Inequalities are related to globalization, correct? But what we are saying, that globalization is not the main culprit. What is globalization? It's basically trade. And hyper trade means very rapid trade and massive trade. What's globalization? It is trade. Okay. Globalization is a type of exchange of goods and services and capital. Globalization is hyper trade in terms of speed, in terms of magnitude. What is responsible for inequalities are certain more fundamental issues. Issues related to politics, issues related to corruption, issues related to social structures, issues related to literacy and innovation. जैसे कि देखो, many times we blame the government to be responsible for the conflicts. We look at the governments responsible for conflicts, but आप देखो, governments, they are more like agencies. Fundamental problem कहाँ है? Fundamental problem is the way people vote. The fundamental problem is our basic communal mindset that we have. It's like, yes, I have a man who has committed a crime. And we assume that if we catch the man, punish him or hang him, the problem is over. But we say no. Yes, man, the problem hai hi. But look at the society that creates this man. You kill one man, another man is there to commit the crime in a more sophisticated way in the future. Okay. So the problem is not globalization. Globalization though is manifestation of something which is more deeper. Our geopolitics, our narrow parochial nature, the more fundamental is corruption that we have, lack of governance. This is more fundamental. Remember what our present day government did? It removed planning commission. Planning commission responsible for all the problems of the states. Hata diya. Okay. But what it came up with was probably worse than planning commission. Niti Aayog ho ya IMO ho, they're more centralized than what planning commission was. I remember when Mr. Modi comes to power, our PM Modi comes to power, he said planning commission responsible for why the states are not encouraged and we do not have cooperative federalism. Hata the planning commission. But what do we have in its place today? So the institution is only an agency. There are more fundamental problems. The more fundamental problems are those related to corruption, our corrupt mindset, the problems related to our social structures. By nature, we are racist to some extent. The problem lies in our education levels and societies that encourage or discourage innovation. Americans are very innovative. So if you want to solve the problems of inequalities, the problems will not solve by removing globalization. US ne kya kiya? It walks out of WHO. WHO is responsible for everything. But you're forgetting, WHO represents the greater malaise. It is you who creates these kind of parochial institutions. UN ही problem है, बंद कर दो UN. But UN में कौन बैठा है? Fundamentally, the countries themselves are there. So this is an important discussion here. The problem is not so much because of globalization. The problem is more about our governance of institutions. Governance of institutions, lack of democracy in institutions. The problem lies in corruption. The problem lies in Okay, the lack of innovation in developing countries. So if you can't solve these fundamental problems, the problems of globalization will remain. Okay, so 5 myths of globalization, almost hinting at what we can expect in the future. Now, a very interesting concept. Now, this is another authority we have, Danny Rodrigues. Okay, if possible, to look him up. This man called Danny, D-A-N-I, Danny Rodrigues. He is a big critique of globalization. Danny Rodrigues. He says that the problem that we must solve is the trilemma problem. It's a very, very interesting word used in many places. T-R-I, okay, L-L-E-M-A, trilemma. Okay. The trilemma problem. He says there are 3 things which are difficult to reconcile. One is hyper-globalization, basically trade and economics. Second is democracy. And the third is nationalism and sovereignty. Danny Rodrigues, global trilemma. Danny Rodrigues, global trilemma. There are 3 things: hyper-globalization and trade. Second is democracy. The third is nationalism and sovereignty. And he says, at any given point, you can choose only 2 of these, not all 3 together. Very interesting, okay, idea. Yes, the first is hyper-globalization, trade economics, the impossible trinity. Okay, Himani, nice phrase. The impossible trinity. Hyper-globalization, trade economy. The second is democracy. The third is, okay, nationalism and sovereignty. You can also use cultural rights. You cannot have all 3. You must choose any 2. So if you want hyper-globalization, democracy, your sovereignty will get compromised. If you choose hyper-globalization and nationalism, your democracy will get compromised. If you choose nationalism and democracy, your trade will get compromised. You cannot have all the 3 at the same time. Danny Rodrigues, okay, problem of impossible trinity. And you can see this happening for India. Okay, एक तरफ आप democracy है, एक तरफ आत्मनिर्भर भारत है, and globalization, you must choose. Like China is very clear. China does not want democracy. It wants its sovereignty. It wants its hyper-globalization. So China. Now in India, it's up to us what we want to choose. But sabka price hai, remember. Okay, what you see in China is a group that probably is benefiting. Okay, there is a huge group that does not benefit. Okay, America is now okay giving up democracy. Trump is anything but democracy. So, ye teenon mein, I think the most convenient casualty is going to be democracy. And when I say democracy, remember, we also imply, okay, a conscious and politically aware citizenship or citizenry. Very interesting insight. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, okay, but an interesting insight. Okay, so what you want to choose is your choice. And when I say democracy, I'm talking about liberal democracy. Liberal democracy, जिसमें social rights हैं, जिसमें welfare है, okay, जिसमें probably talking about the development of the poorest people, labor rights हो गए. See what has UP done? Okay, UP classically has removed the labor rights now. A kind of, you are removing democracy. It wants trade, economic growth, and it also wants assertiveness, cultural assertiveness. This is the criticism of the government, but आपके essays में आप कैसे करोगे बहुत important है. The choice of words. So don't give example from India in this case. ये सबसे आसान होता है. Give example other countries. Give China example. Give example of Korea. Give example of Brazil, Philippines, Okay, Turkey, yes, absolutely. Israel. In most countries, what has been compromised is the social liberal democracy. ये सबसे convenient है to compromise. Okay, and India probably is maybe moving towards that, or we already have moved towards that. Although we can keep on holding the flag of democracy, है ना, very convenient है. आप कुछ भी करो बोलो संविधान के अनुसार कह देना, बड़ा convenient है ये. Whatever you do, you say, okay, according to constitution. It does not matter where you are. So while discussing globalization, take the answer towards these kind of points. Civil liberties gets compromised. Yes. In fact, the whole agenda of labor reforms is somewhere around compromising the civil liberties of the workers. अब right है wrong है, it's up to you to decide. But this is how it operates. So what is globalization? What was the expectations from globalization? When did problems start emerging? What were our expectations? And what are the myths? कुछ हद तक our concerns and our allegations against globalization are because of our expectations. हमारा expectation था कि borders will disappear. Our expectation was that everybody will have equal trade. Our expectation was globalization will be fair and will be free. We expected all to cooperate. But the problem is, somewhere deep down, we are driven by capitalist instincts. You know, a poor country complains only as long as it is poor. The moment it becomes richer, it now becomes the higher class. Okay, so we are driven by capitalism. हमारा कम से India ना, India हो, even other countries ho, you're fighting for a seat in the permanent Security Council, and you say that UN is unfair. But trust me, the day India get membership inside the permanent Security Council, India will also say, now shut the door, nobody else is allowed inside the permanent council. A classic case, how we fight till as long as we are denied some rights. And once we have the rights, we deny the others the same rights. So jab tak we are on the receiving end, we say the West is racist. But when we are apparently relatively more fair, we find the Africans to be untouchables. So this is human nature. So please do write about it. But does not mean the human nature has to accept it. That's why we have to change some things here. So ये हो गया आपका higher wisdom, the nudge effect. We move on towards philosophy of an issue. So now, there's one more concept that I want to know while discussing globalization. There is this man called as Milankovitch, and he gave us what's called as the elephant curve. Okay, so there is Milankovitch. Milankovitch gave us what's called as the elephant curve. The elephant curve is a curve of the global inequalities. It traces the growth in income across different societies. Milankovitch, okay, the elephant curve. And this curve is about the global inequalities. It traces the growth in income across different societies. So now I would like you to see one article from the internet. Okay, ये आप net में देख भी सकते हो. Okay, the article from the internet. You can draw this curve. ये internet से ये article directly उठाया मैंने. Now this is the elephant curve. Okay, on the y-axis there is income growth and the global quantile, a group of people. Again, some statistical terms. Do forget about all those terms. Just appreciate the curve. So this looks like an elephant's profile. This is the tail of the elephant. This is the torso. This is the front and the trough. And this is the trunk of the elephant. These are the four groups of societies. In globalization, This tail are the poorest people, the extreme poor people who have been left behind. And several countries are stuck. So globalization did not help this group of people. So this is that article. I hope you can all see the article now. What's happening to income distribution? Okay, and please do read this article. It's a very interesting one. So Christopher Lackner and Branko Vilankovic, they published a graph called as the elephant chart. Can you see the elephant chart written here? It depicts the change in income distribution across the world between 1988 and 2008. Okay, and this has been used to support reports of rising inequalities. So, and this was used to study why we have so much of populism and the rise of populist movements. Okay, so a very nice article. So pura pad lena. Okay, that if you look at the income inequalities, there are 4 parts of the graph: the global elite, the upper middle class, the global middle class, and the extremely poor. Okay, and this is the curve. Now I'm asking you a question. Okay, there are 4 groups of people. Okay, we have in the tail are the poorest people. These are the top torso who have gained, okay, and they have grown fairly well. Okay, these are the people who have declined, the sharp decline, and they have stagnated here. And there are people who are rising. Okay, there are people whose income is rising rapidly. It was less, it was rising rapidly. Now you tell me if these are the 4 types of people: people A, people B, people C, and people D. Who among these will be most upset? Who among these will be most upset? A, B, C, or D? Yes, C. Because देखो, ये जो poorest people है ना, they are resigned. इनका कुछ नहीं हो सकता. Think of sub-Saharan Africa. Think of the tribal groups, the poorest farmers. Think of people, okay, in Pacific Islands. They are resigned. इनका कुछ नहीं. Agriculture farmers. These are people who have been rich, who are doing fairly well, and some of them has also witnessed some increase. So they have maintained their standards more or less. Okay, and there are people whose income has dramatically fallen and it has stagnated here. And there are people whose income is decreasing. So of the people who will be most upset are those people whose income has fallen and it has stagnated here. This was the older, richer, and the middle class who have now declined. Who are these people? Anybody knows? Where are these people? Yes, these are the Europeans. These were the richer population earlier. Now they have declined. These are the population of the 70s and 60s who have seen a decline, who could not change their technologies. And ये जो rise है, can you see some Indians here? Can you see Chinese here? Indians beta ये चारों pocket में distributed है. But the most upset guys are these, who were once very rich, but they have now declined. And these are the ones who are voting for Trump. These are the ones who are voting for Brexit. These are the ones who are voting for nationalism, okay, and for protectionism. They want the old times back. Do you know about the yellow vests in France? Are aware of the yellow vest in France? And France fighting to retain their social security net. These are the ones who are saying, make America great again. America first. They realize that they have lost something here. So, bhagao migrant workers ko, we want our jobs back. And this increase, ye jo increase hai, ye Amazon, this is Facebook, blue collar workers, okay, Detroit, manufacturing centers who are losing their jobs. Can you see a very interesting conversation here? I hope you have understood how to use this. So who are the ones who are most upset with the globalization? Are those who have witnessed decline in their incomes, or decline partly because of changing technologies. They're not able to adapt to new technologies and they are complaining. They are not able to adapt to new disruptions and they're upset. Like the princely states of the colonial rule. Yes, So they are the one. And who are the torso? Torso are the middle class who have done well to maintain themselves by adapting. So a lot of Indians come here also. Like a lot of middle class Indians, they come here. Were able to innovate and be with the changing technologies. Yes, these are the ones anti-fragile, and even these are the ones who are anti-fragile. I mean, COVID mein, what do you think? Did Amazon gain or did Amazon lose? What happened in COVID? Did Amazon gain? It gained. Anti-fragile. The more crisis they have, the more they gain. I hope you understand this, okay, Milankovitch curve and the inequalities. You can draw, but पूरे essay में फिर एक ही draw करना. Don't overdo these kind of graphs. But write the wisdom. Whatever wisdom you acquire from the conversation, add that in your conversation. So you can use this concept, not an issue. So write down something, write 2-3 lines, a bit of analysis. And this analysis I'm giving you from the works of another scholar called David Hunt. According to David Hunt, look please, according to David Hunt, globalization isn't dead. And there are flaws that should be resolved. It isn't dead, but there are flaws that need to be resolved. Inequality is definitely a concern. The winners seem to be the rising middle class of emerging economies and the richest high income individuals. The losers are the middle class of the wealthy and the developed countries who are also anti-migrants and who vote for protectionism. Protectionism, Brexit, and America first. The poorest population have missed the globalization bus. Put a hyphen, put a dash. The farmers, sub-Saharan Africa, tribal communities, ethnic societies, and those with traditional skills. Okay, so it's like, globalization has been a problematic thing. There are inequalities. There are some who are the middle class of emerging economies. They have gained the maximum. There are middle class of the developed countries who have witnessed decline, and they are the ones who talk about protectionism. And there are ones who have entirely missed globalization. Okay, right on further. The following 4 reforms are required. Number 1, managing the inflexible domestic labor market. But at these terms, I believe economy, पढ़ रहे हो, आपको पता है. I'm only putting all of this in a perspective under this topic. Okay, dealing with inflexible domestic labor market. Okay, hiring policies, firing policies, who we can recruit, who we cannot recruit, okay, and so on. Deal with that. Number 2 is social safety nets. People are losing jobs. Okay, they must have social safety nets. Number 3, training and retraining of workers for re-employment. And the 4th is a global collaboration for faster adoption of new technologies. Put an important star mark and write down that labor frustrations and economic inequalities has resulted in the rise of populist movements. I'll finish off globalization and I'll start teaching you to deal with some topics I'll take up. Okay, I'll start off with the next range of topics. So glad to have you and hope we keep on learning in some way or the other. Okay, bye bye, take care. Take care, bye bye.